okay? So I made a video like this initially, but then I rewatched it and I thought I need to make things clearer because I could already feel people misunderstanding what I was trying to say. So I just want to clarify something. I find the writing for Blackjack Randall to be biphobic. I think that Diana Gabaldon has not done a good job of writing gay men in her series. Of the two that we have been shown thus far, one has been implied to be a pedophile slash molester of young pretty boys, and the other one is Blackjack Randall, and while she doesn't say what his sexuality is, we can clearly see that he is not straight. And in addition to the pedophile molester gay man, the predatory gay man that we see with the Duke of Sundringham, we are also seeing the deviant bisexual man with Captain Blackjack Randall. And I think it's very important to clarify, there is nothing wrong with having gay characters be evil, or having bad things happen to gay characters. There was an interview, like a Twitter online interview with the writer from Arrow, and someone asked a question about his treatment of Nyssa having her marry, Oliver as one of the episodes, and he was saying, well, what you're saying, are you saying that bad things shouldn't happen to gay people? I think whenever you criticize the treatment of LGBT people, people assume that what you're saying is like, well, we should just make them precious, and that we should just never do anything to them, and that's wrong. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that for all the historical accuracy and research that all these writers and directors and everyone do to make the best product possible, it seems a little disingenuous that they do not know or understand the history of the characters and tropes that they are playing with. I mean, Diana Gabaldon allegedly had done a lot of research to writing the book, to getting the universe really done right. Her background was in research, so how she doesn't understand these sort of tropes that she's playing into, well, it may be the time. This book did come out in the 90s, and 90s romance is very much filled with rape and these ideas of what sexual sadism is, but it's 2015 and the discussion has to have grown, and I've seen a lot of people try to sort of tiptoe around the issue by saying that we have to view Captain Jack as first a deviant and then a bisexual, and not have his sexuality be seen as the basis of why he does things, when clearly it's not written that way. I mean, the thing that I find so disingenuous about that argument is that not that we've known he's a bisexual man or a queer man or whatever you want to describe him as throughout the entire series. No, it's part of the shock value to further his deviancy, to show you just how dark he is. And people might say, well, that's just you reading into it. No, that's the history of the depraved bisexual trope. That's what that is. The thing about it too is, like, while there are interesting things about, Diana Gabaldon's story, it's not completely unique. The characters that she's working with are not brand new. And she's not writing it any better than it was written before. And I think that while I understand a lot of people love Outlander and it's seen as very female positive, we cannot ignore the homophobia in writing characters that exhibit these very negative, very stereotypical tropes, and there's no balancing out for them. If you want to make him a villain, that's fine. It's alright for him to be bisexual and a villain, but when part of his villainy is tied in so much with his sexuality, which is bisexuality, that's a problem. Lex Luthor, if he was bisexual, I think that's a better example, because Lex Luthor's issues have nothing to do with his sexuality. What makes him a villain is not that he's bisexual. That would just be something on top of everything else. That'd just be another part of who he is as a man. It's not what makes him a bad guy. It's not what he uses to strike out. Like, he wants to defeat Superman. He doesn't want to rape Superman. And to have part of Captain Jack Randall's issue with Jamie be this sexual frustration is extremely homophobic. And just because Claire is empowered and she's not the one being raped does not mean it's a positive thing that Jamie is, because it's it's reinvigorating all of these old romantic tropes that we would wish that we've moved on past it because the show is so popular, so people are praising the characters of Claire and the violence and everything, that it's kind of getting lost in the middle. Everyone's trying to make excuses for it, and I think that making excuses for it makes it worse. We have to understand that when you're working with bisexual and gay and all these kind of different characters, you unfortunately are working with a history of extreme homophobia. You have to understand that what you write for these characters does not just exist in your own little world. You are writing with a whole weight of homophobia in literature that you have to you have to acknowledge, you have to be knowledgeable of as a writer. If you can research all these other things, if you can do all of this other work, you can do that as well. And if they're not going to make the effort to make it better, we have to be the ones to be like, okay, this is fucked up. This may have come out in this time period. Here's why we have to talk about it now. Like, that's the thing. Like, we can say that this is a result of her writing in the 90s, and it's part of the plot, and it is, and it's there. But we can also say, hey, have we evolved to the point where we can have a villain like this in media when we don't have protagonists who are bisexual in abundance? We don't have enough to counterbalance the negative, and that's why when the negative shows up in all these really stark ways, it's so, you know, the reaction is so visceral, or it should be, because we don't have enough LGBT heroes to have these terrible tropey characters like Captain Blackjack Randall, who, while amazingly acted, definitely terrifying and all these things, he was all those things before without having to be also had the add-on suspense of like, he also likes men. Because that's when I read the books, when I watched the show, that episode, that's how I felt about it. It wasn't like oh, okay, so this is just part of who he is. No, it's very much to make you feel this. It's a plot twist, it's a plot device, and it's homophobia as a plot device. And I think that for fans of Outlander who love the show and talk about all the progressive issues with the show, they should definitely be more people talking about this. And hopefully I've seen some do it, and I'm not doing this to shame anyone or say that you can't like Outlander or anything like that, but we can't love things blindly, and we all have our problematic things. And I just feel like this is one of those things that, like, when I was reading the books, it was more jarring to me than the spanking scene, because no one was talking about that. Everyone was talking about the spanking scene and the relationship with Claire and Jamie and what the up and downs and abuse of that, but no one gave a single utterance to me when I was first getting ready to start the series about the homophobia, and I find that to be the most disheartening thing. And yes, I've heard of John Gray, but from what I have heard about him, because I haven't gone up to his introduction yet, what I have heard about him, I can tell you what, it's really not that great either. I'll have to see officially when I read it, but from what I've seen, yeah,